A tree farm is a privately owned forest managed for timber production. The term tree farm also is used to refer to tree plantations, tree nurseries, and Christmas tree farms. American Tree Farm System. The American Tree Farm System is the largest and oldest woodland certification system in America. It is internationally recognized by the Program for the Endorsement of Forest Certification and meets strict third-party certification standards. It is one of 3 certification systems currently recognized in the United States. ATFS specializes in certifying private forests, primarily those held by individuals and families, and currently certifies over 24 million acres of forestland. The ATFS standard for certification is owned by the American Forest Foundation, a national non-profit organization focused on promoting sustainable stewardship of America's woodlands and related environmental education through Project Learning Tree History. The American Tree Farm System was established in 1942 in an effort to promote resources on private land, ensuring plentiful fiber production for timber and paper companies. With declining virgin saw timber available, the industry began to promote forestry practices to ensure sufficient fiber production for the future. Prior to 1941, the majority of fiber came from industrial lands. The first tract of land labeled as a tree farm was organized and marketed by the Weyerhaeuser Company to help change public attitudes toward timber production and protect natural resources from forest fires and other natural disasters. The title of tree farm was chosen in large part because Weyerhaeuser felt that the 1940s public understood farming as crop production, and similarly tree farming was focused on producing more timber, with frequent replanting post-harvest. The early sponsors of the tree farming movement defined it as privately owned forest land dedicated to the growing of forest crops for commercial purposes, protected and managed for continuous production of forest products. Quote, in the early 1940s, the concept of tree farming on private land was promoted by the National Lumber Manufacturers Association in an organized campaign to engage timberland owners in conservative timber production. Throughout its history, ATFS has relied on celebrity tree farmers to relay its message to the public. Celebrities include actor Andy Griffith, actress Andie MacDowell, former President Jimmy Carter, and Rolling Stone keyboardist Chuck Leavell. Current since 1941, the system has shifted to focus on whole stewardship, rather than strictly fiber production. According to the standards of certification for ATFS, woodland owners must own 10 or more acres and have a management plan. In that management plan, woodland owners must recognize wildlife habitat, protection of water quality, threatened and endangered species, and sustainable harvest levels. The certification standard is subject to multi-stakeholder involvement in the development and revision of the standard, third-party audits, and a publicly available certification of audit summaries. It should be noted that the minimum acreage to qualify for a tree farm refers to woodland, i.e. forested land, so acreage which includes grazing or other non-wooded lands must have at least 10 acres in forest to qualify. Furthermore, programs in different areas which support tree farming activities may require larger forested acreages as well as additional criteria. For example, the Forest Ag program in Colorado requires the following standards. To be eligible for the Forest Ag program, properties must meet several criteria. The landowner must perform forest management activities to produce tangible wood products for the primary purpose of obtaining a monetary profit. Tangible wood products include transplants, Christmas trees and boughs, sawlogs, posts, poles and firewood. The landowner must have at least 40 forested acres. The landowner must submit a Colorado State Forest Service approved forest management plan that is prepared by a professional forester and natural resources professional. Landowners must annually submit a request for inspection, an inspection fee, an accomplishment report, and an annual work plan for the following year, and have the enrolled property inspected by a CSFS forester. As a program of the American Forest Foundation, the American Tree Farm System focuses on the long-term sustainability of America's forests in ecological and economic terms. The vision statement of AFF states, AFF is committed to creating a future where North American forests are sustained by the public that understand and values the social, economic, and environmental benefits they provide to our communities, our nation, and the world. The network of over 90,000 woodland owners is organized through state committees and governed at the national level. Currently 45 of the 50 states have committees. Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, North Dakota and Utah currently do not have programs. With national coordination, ATFS strives to work on the ground with families to promote stewardship and protect our nation's forest heritage. The state networks also include tree farm inspectors, who certify the forests and conduct outreach efforts on behalf of ATFS and partnered organizations. Each year ATFS hosts a National Tree Farmer Convention and awards an individual or family with the National Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year award. It also awards a National Outstanding Inspector Award to a resource professional who has demonstrated exceptional outreach efforts to engage landowners and the general public in sustainable forestry, tree farming and climate change. A forest sequesters carbon in its stays. The forest removes carbon dioxide from the air as trees grow and returns it to the air as trees die and rot or burn. As long as the forest is experiencing net growth, the forest is reducing the amount of carbon dioxide, the leading greenhouse gas, for the air. Furthermore, if timber is regularly removed from the forest and turned into lasting wood products, those products continue sequestering carbon, while the replacement tree farm trees absorb more carbon dioxide, thus affecting a continuous reduction in greenhouse gas. Because tree farms are managed to enhance rapid growth, a tree farm tends to sequester carbon more quickly than an unmanaged forest. Considering only the sequestration side of the equation and not the carbon release due to rot, fire, or harvest, the fact that managed woodlands tend to be younger and younger trees grow faster and die less contributes to this distinction. While tree farms absorb large amounts of CO2, the long-term sequestration of this carbon depends on what is done with the harvested materials. Forests continue to absorb atmospheric carbon for centuries if left undisturbed. The USDA has an online calculator for how much carbon is sequestered in various types of forests. CO2 and forest health. Carbon dioxide is a primary building material for plant tissue and is required to make plants grow fast and strong, so presumably higher levels of CO2 in the air as a result of burning fossil fuels would make forests grow faster. Duke University did a study where they dosed a low-blolly pine plantation with elevated levels of CO2. The studies showed that the pines did indeed grow faster and stronger. They were also less prone to damage during ice storms, which is a factor that limits loblolly growth farther north. The forest did relatively better during dry years. The hypothesis is that the limiting factors in the growth of the pines are nutrients such as nitrogen, which is in deficit on much of the pine land in the southeast. In dry years, however, the trees don't bump up against those factors since they are growing more slowly because water is the limiting factor. When rain is plentiful, trees reach the limits of the site's nutrients and the extra CO2 isn't beneficial. Most forest soils in southeastern region are deficient in nitrogen and phosphorus as well as trace minerals. Pine forests often sit on land that was used for cotton, corn or tobacco. Since these crops depleted originally shallow and infertile soils, tree farmers must work to improve soils. In addition to better fertilization, biosolids present an innovative solution. Biosolids are treated sewage from municipal or agricultural sources such as chicken and hog operations in Virginia and North Carolina. Though biosolids have the potential to improve soils and lead to improved tree growth, barriers to adoption include regulation and inertia.